Oh, ladies and gentlemen, forgive my tardiness, but better late than never. I am the host of the 2018 NFL, or I should say now 2019 NFL Week 17 post-game analysis show. I'm the host, the diligent, vigilant, meticulous, sagacious, conscientious, analytical, methodical individual, the Chiseled Adonis. Now, I haven't had much time on my hands, but when I do get enough time, I want to push out some content for you guys. So, let's break down what happened this past Sunday. At the conclusion of the regular season, I will be doing a pre-game for Wild Card Weekend. I'm going to try to see if I can get that up today, because tomorrow is going to be ridiculously hard to try to record, so I might have to pump out a quick recording just before my aunt's wake later on this afternoon, or I should say viewing. Is it called wake? Is it called viewing? Or are they both one and the same? I'm not too sure. Somebody let me know in the comment section. But nonetheless, let's break down exactly what transpired. Number one, we'll start with some AFC East action. We had the Buffalo Bills in Kyle Williams' last game in Buffalo Wild Wings, or I should say Ralph Wilson Stadium, out there in Buffalo, taking on the Dolphins. And I'll say this, the Dolphins came over there and they got straight up shellacked. They lost 17, pardon me, not 42-7, was give them an additional 10 points. Did it help them win the game though? Absolutely not. I'll say this, Ryan Tannehill, it appears at the end of the game they're going to move on from Tannehill, or I should say at the end of this season they're going to move on from Tannehill. We'll see what they do regarding their quarterback situation. This was a great win for the Bills. I believe up until this point right now, Josh Allen has the highest rush yards per game amongst quarterbacks all time. Now granted, he's only played one season, but watching how he commands the offense, we know he can run. Buffalo, they're going to need some more receivers in there, because honestly right now I think the only guy they really have is Zay Jones for the most part. They have some other names here and there, but they're not really somebody you can depend on. Hell, Zay Jones, he's still got to come into himself to figure out what sort of receiver that he wants to be. I don't know what the deal is going to be with LaShawn McCoy moving forward, what they're going to try to do. Defensively, I think the Bills have a good team, but they just got a couple of pieces around the entire organization that got to be fixed. Remember, they were a playoff team last year. Now they're finishing this season, was it 5-11, 6-10, something around that area. But you know, this was a good win for them. More importantly, Kyle Williams' final game, being able to walk out of his career with the W. That was very nice to see him catch a pass. I was thoroughly, sports entertained. So congratulations for the Bills and Bills Mafia. I'm sure they put themselves through a ton of tables. In fact, the season may be over for them. I'm sure they're still putting themselves through tables right now. Wait, do you hear that? Oh, it's the Dudleys. Yeah, I hear they're putting somebody through a table with the 3D. Who knows? What are they doing in Buffalo? I thought they were retired. Devon's supposed to be on the road with the WWE. Who knows? But they out there in Buffalo putting people through tables. So congratulations to the Buffalo Bills. You closed out your season with the W. For the Miami Dolphins, not so much. All right, this would look like it could have been a promising season, but Miami, their entire season has been an up and down roller coaster. You start 3-0, you get shellacked by the Patriots, you find yourself being on 500 at one point. I think they were about 7-7. Opportunity to win 2 consecutive games and go to the postseason, and you lost them both. You ought to be ashamed of yourself. But then again, being a Miami fan, you constantly find yourself in that sort of situation. Who am I to say anything? My Pittsburgh Steelers are also at home, not going to the postseason, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. Next, we going on to the Lions taking on the Packers. You thought I was going to stay in the AFC East and go with the Jets and the goddamn Patriots. No, we'll talk about that a little bit later. But the Lions taking on the Packers. The Packers got zipped at home. How much points did they score? 0! That's how much points they scored, all right? Matter of fact, I'll add in a little clip here so you can see somebody edited over the Dallas Cowboys holes joke. But nonetheless, all right? Aaron Rodgers got hurt. I think it was early second quarter. He wasn't going to come back into the game because what is the point? Sit him down on the bench. Ultimately, I believe it was Deshaun Kaiser who came in and tried to, take the reins for quarterback of the Green Bay Packers. Went absolutely nowhere. Matt Prater threw a touchdown. This was a very good game for Detroit to close out the season. I was wondering why some of the play calling that I saw this particular game I haven't seen throughout the season. They were creative with how they covered up, whether it was a pass or a run. I like the route selection that the receivers had there. They should have done this throughout the season. Very, very odd situation, but Detroit closed out their season very well. Both these teams pretty much were battling for, draft positioning. I think for Green Bay, this is way better, having them lose and be a little bit lower on the draft board. They're able to get a quality pick. I'm not big into college football, so you guys who are looking for, maybe you should make a draft video. I'm not the guy who can put one out for you. I don't know squat my no college, but it's too much of a revolving door. People come in, people walk out. NFL, it's more, it's more concrete. People are there for a longer period of time. Don't give me no 4-year bracket and gotta learn other people and all this other backstory. I'm not doing that. But a good W for the Lions. For the Packers, disappointing season. Mike McCarthy ultimately is gone. Might I add, in Miami, Adam Gase is fired as well. I want to name some of the coach firings going down the line. But Mike McCarthy, he was gone for a couple of weeks now. We'll see what they're gonna do in Green Bay, bringing in a coach. I'm hearing talks about interviewing Josh McDaniels. We'll see if he does the whole, put my foot into the door and then go right the hell up out of Home Depot like he did with the Indianapolis job last year. So we'll see how things play out. As for Green Bay, I'm not too concerned if I'm a Green Bay fan moving forward, because you still do have Aaron Rodgers. You got Devontae Adams. You just got to figure out what you want to do on the ground and get your defense intact. That's where your focus is, because offensively, Aaron Rodgers can make the machine move. You just got to be able to protect him, because I believe he was top 6 getting sacked this year. The offensive line was abysmal. Guys could not stay healthy. You got to figure out, maybe get a new strength and conditioning coach like they did out there in Los Angeles. So you got to figure it out. Now, I don't know if they got a new strength and conditioning coach in Los Angeles, but I've been saying for several years, guys are constantly getting hurt. Maybe they got to get a new one. I hope that they did. But nonetheless, good win for Detroit. Next, we had the Jets and the Pats. I'm going back to the AFC East. Jets got absolutely sexually, harassed this particular game. It was 38-3. The Jets had no chance. Then again, you're playing in Star Foxborough. Do you ever have a chance when playing there? Because they are undefeated at home. Tom Brady threw a pair of touchdowns. Guys were just, the Jets. This game was not even close. Not even close. They didn't stand a chance. Tom Brady took out his nutsack and rubbed it all over their defense. In fact, their offense, Kyle Van Noy took out his nutsack and ran it all over their offense. It was just Belichick just took care of business. Todd Bowles, you're out of your job, unfortunately. It was Black Monday for real. You got fired, buddy, and you're black. Good win for the Patriots. They needed it, secured the first round bye. Moving on to the postseason, they're going to have themselves a beautiful bye week where they can try to reevaluate what sort of team they want to be. If I was them, I'd be cheering for certain, teams that don't have the blueprint to defeat them. But of course, if you're a competitor, you really play who the hell shows up. That's the kind of, football fan that I happen to be. So it's a good win for them. For the Jets, you got to get some pieces for Sam Darnold moving forward. Because I believe this man can be, one of the better quarterbacks in the league. I think he can be a winning Matthew Stafford. Let's go with that. Matter of fact, no, a winning Matthew Stafford is pretty much Matt Ryan. Let's go with that. So he can be like a Matt Ryan. MVP, we'll see. But this guy, he's got some talent. He turns the football over here and there. Of course, quarterbacks have their struggles. But I don't like hearing a bunch of these analysts or these fake fair weather football fans talk about, well, he throws too much interception. Peyton Manning still has the record for the most rookie interceptions. Peyton Manning is one of the top 3 quarterbacks of all time. I don't care what you say. Bottom line. So you're not going to come over here talking, well, it's after 1 year. You guys are way too, you've seen Andrew Luck, Russell Wilson, Cam Newton, RG3, all these other quarterbacks, Dak Prescott, Ben Roethlisberger, all these quarterbacks where in their rookie years, they tore up the goddamn NFL and all of a sudden that becomes the standard. No, some of the quarterbacks, some of the players, not even regulated to just a quarterback position, they need time to mature. You can't just come into the league and just expect, if I was dominant in college, I'm going to walk right in against all these grown men and be dominant. No, that's not the case. Some players can come in right off the bat. Other players got to ingratiate themselves into it. Warren Moon did not look like a Hall of Fame quarterback or even have the mechanics of that of a Hall of Fame quarterback until later in his career. He was tearing it up when he was in, the USFL or the CFL, whatever the hell it was that he was out. He was absolutely tearing it up. But it took him some time when he got into the NFL to be like, yo, wait a minute, this guy got something going over here. So you got to, give people some time to really, find who they are in the game. But surround this man with some pieces. The Jets, stop being the Jets, all right? Figure out a way to get a core around your team. It's very frustrating because they got some good isolated players. They just fail to surround their good players with other good players, and then they can make a good team, all right? But moving forward, get it together. Good win for the Patriots. Moving on to the postseason for them. Next, the Panthers taking on the Saints. Absolute necrophilia. The Saints got shellacked, but then again, They played with their entire scout team. Teddy Bridgewater started this game, threw a touchdown. Didn't really look that much impressive. I don't know what that's going to do for his off-season shopping as for where he's going to go. But for the Panthers, they closed out the season the right way after losing, 7 consecutive games? 8 consecutive games? No, 7 consecutive games. And this entire season, the only bright spot was Christian McCaffrey and Luke Kuechly. And I can't even say Thomas Davis because he didn't even have that great of a season. So I'd say Luke Kuechly and Kuechly, McCaffrey, that was pretty much it. Cam started very good, but of course he couldn't finish this game. Or I should say he didn't play this game. Tyler Heineke, he ain't played this game either. It was this other guy. I'm forgetting his last name, but he played very well. All right, he played very well. I enjoyed watching the Panthers, close out the season the way they were supposed to. As for the Saints, it really didn't matter. Some trippy news over here because when they went 13-3 in 2009 and they won the Super Bowl, they lost to the Buccaneers, the Cowboys, and also the Panthers. And here we are. Almost 10 years later, the exact same 3 teams that beat them again this year. Maybe history repeats themselves. Is Marty McFly in a time machine? Perhaps. We'll see exactly what transpires, but good win for the Panthers. As for what they got to do to fix their team, health definitely has to be taken into account. You got to bring in some more receivers for Cam Newton to throw the ball to, and good Lord Almighty, get a quarterback's coach or get some sort of quarterback mentor for Cam, because this man is all up a body when he throws the ball. He got to get his mechanics going, because I'm telling you right now, this man is a special talent. I believe Cam Newton will end up in the Hall of Fame just based on what he's done on the ground from the quarterback position alone. We'll be able to give him the nod. All he got to do is just keep lighting it up through the air the way that he's done. I mean, he overthrowing Poppy. That's what I call him, because he overthrows every single goddamn receiver that's around. But if he can get his mechanics down after 8 years in the league, get his mechanics down, this man will be unstoppable. Honestly, he will be unstoppable. He just got to figure out, hey, what sort of quarterback do I want to be? Do I just want to rely on my athleticism, or do I want to learn the X and O's? Do I want to get my mechanics down, the small intangibles, the fundamentals to elevate my game? If I was him, I'd hit up a Peyton Manning and just find a perfectionist, a perfectionist at the quarterback position to really elevate his game. But good win for the Panthers. They got some bright spots here and there. They just got to figure out a way to hold it all together. Defensively, I don't know what they're going to do. I believe Thomas Davis is retiring this particular year. I don't know if he's announced it, but I remember him saying this was going to be his last ride, so we'll see what the deal is moving forward. I don't know if the news already came out or not. I haven't really had that much opportunity to look at the media this entire week, but let me know in the comment section if he did indeed retire or if he's planning to retire, because last I remember he did say he was planning to retire. But nonetheless, Luke Kuechly will command that defense moving forward as he's been doing, and they'll rally around Luke. But next game, the Jags taking on the Texans. The Texans won this game 20-3. I'll say this, the Jags, tough season. You're gonna have to go find a quarterback at the beginning of or I should say during this offseason. I don't want to say at the beginning of next year. That'd be terrible. But you find a quarterback this year, whether it's through free agency or if you try to find a quarterback in the draft. I don't believe they have a quarterback in the draft. That's something. Let's get this guy. But then again, like I said, I don't watch college football like that. For the Texans, closing out the season very strong. They needed this. They were fighting to see if they could get the possible, first round bye. Evidently, that's not the case. So they're going to be taking on Indianapolis in the first round divisional matchup once again. But they did close out the season very well. I'm still a little bit concerned about this offensive line for the Houston Texans. Deshaun Watson, I believe he is the most sacked quarterback in the league. So we'll see how things play out. There's only been one quarterback, like I've always alluded to. I think it was Big Ben, who was number 1 or number 2? No, it was number 2 in 2008 when they won the Super Bowl. So it's very hard to win a Super Bowl if your offensive line is abysmal. But we'll see how things play out. Indianapolis, coming in and having to play against Houston. We'll break it down later on today. But for this particular game, the Jags, down season, man. Down season. Depending on how next year looks, we'll be able to determine if last year was indeed a fluke. Personally, I believe that was the case, because you're coming in after being bottom 5 in the league every single year for about 6 consecutive years, and then bam, you're in the AFC Championship, and look at you now, right back at the bottom once again. So this team, they need a culture change, honestly. They need a complete culture change if they really want to move forward. But for the Texans, they're rallying around Deshaun Watson. The defensive line, phenomenal. The Texans defense has been playing very well. well. So they earned this W. More importantly, they earned that AFC South crown. I'm proud of those guys, especially dealing with what happened with the hurricane last year. You had a ton of injuries on that team, and they were still able to find a way to, bounce back and win their division. So round of applause for the Texans getting it together. Good win for those guys. For the Jags, back to the bottom of the division you go. Next, Cowboys and the Giants. This game is extremely exciting, all right? I was thoroughly enjoying. Cowboys jumped out to a huge lead. The Giants fought all the way back. Then all of a sudden, going down the field, connects with Cole Beasley. Knee down, that equals 2 feet, as John Madden would say. And then bam, touchdown, game done. 2-point conversion, I might add. That's what made the game done. When they got the touchdown, they were down by 1. They could have kicked the extra point, but who wants to do that in a meaningless game? Might as well go for the win, and found his man in the end zone touchdown. I enjoyed this because Dak, showed that he really wanted to play and really wanted to win. Because he went to Jason Garrett and said, hey, you can't take me out now. We that boy. I'm Dick. Zeke is not playing. We don't got Jason Witten, but we got Blake Dunn. And he kept throwing the ball to the man. He had 3 touchdowns. Phenomenal game. Defensively, the Cowboys somewhat let up when they were playing against the Giants, but then the Giants pretty much said, oh wait, we don't got nothing to play for really, but just want to show people that we still got some talent on the team. Saquon Barkley pretty much dunked on the Cowboys defense. It was a very nice game. If you guys like to watch full football games back, I'd watch this game. It was somewhat entertaining. But Vic ultimately pulled his team out the gutter after they found themselves in there, and that's what concerns me a little bit about this Cowboys team, because when they take the lead, they can't really put you away. You're always able to hang around. It's very odd. I don't understand why that is. But it seems as if when they have their foot on your throat, they don't put their foot down and squeeze. It's like they just leave their foot there and then they tease you a little bit and give you an opportunity to possibly lift the foot. So that's a little bit concerning. I'll talk about that a little bit later going into the wild card predictions. But a good win for them boys. It was very good for them. They ended up winning 36-35. I thoroughly enjoyed it. NFC East matchup. The people in MetLife, I've had a couple of people. Did I say MetLife? Yeah, that's what usually I say in the video. But people in MetLife, I had a couple of old buddies that actually went to the game. They happened to be Giants fans. It was very nice to see the disdain on their face after seeing Dick connect with Cole Beasley for what would become the game-winning touchdown. Next, we got the Falcons taking on the Buccaneers. Very exciting game as well. The Falcons started absolutely terrible. The Buccaneers jumped out to a 17-point lead where it was 17-0. Here came back the Falcons. Might I add, they ran that Philly special, or I should say the Atlanta special. Matt Ryan caught himself a touchdown. It was very nice to see Julio got his 8 touchdowns on the year. Or I should say 8 touchdowns on the year. Doesn't really make any sense. I mean, it does, but grammatically, putting the 8 makes it sound much better. I don't know why I extended it. But nonetheless, Falcons, they fought all the way back. Jameis took his team back down the field. Mike Evans, then he had because the Falcons, they were down 17-0. Then they came all the way back. The Buccaneers kicked a field goal. The Falcons had a 31-20 lead. Jameis, of all people, led his team back. Mike Evans, here you go. Oh, is that Goodwin over there? Chris Goodwin? Here you go. We got the lead. Gave him a 32-31 lead, and then ultimately the Buccaneers defense failed them. Matt Bryant, 42-year-old man, or I should say 8,736-year-old man, kicked the goddamn field goal through the uprights and good in order for the Falcons to finish their season well. It was a very entertaining game. Jameis, I'm happy that they're considering bringing this man back because the way he closed out the season, phenomenal. If they could just fix that defense, the Buccaneers could be a good team. I've sung their praises the same way I sung the praises for the goddamn Chargers. I've sung their praises the same way I've sung the praises for the Colts when the Colts play well. This Buccaneers team, they got too much talent to underachieve year in and year out. Imagine being a Tampa fan. I could just imagine the frustration. Because on paper, you look at it like, man, we got a team, we got a squad that can contend in this NFC South, but constantly being let down, whether it's bad play from the quarterback or terrible play from the defense or the disappearing act of the running game or the inconsistency of the wide receiver core outside of Mike Evans. It's just ridiculous, man. It's ridiculous. But they lost this particular game. The Falcons showed some gumption and intestinal fortitude. So I really enjoyed watching this particular game. But good win for the Falcons. Next, Raiders Chiefs necrophilia 35-3. Mahomes 50 passing touchdowns on the year, 5,000 yards passing. John Gruden, they're going to rally around in the offseason and try to get the pieces for this particular team to try to rebuild, to get to where they want to go. I personally believe in John Gruden. I'm thinking about 3 years, the Raiders will become a perennial, playoff team. We'll see how things play out. As for the Chiefs, this was just utter domination, man. This game was utter domination. There's nothing else that could be said. Raiders is just a bad football team right now, and they're going to get it together in the offseason. I truly believe that. But the Chiefs, they were able to secure the number 1 seed. So the AFC runs through Kansas City, where it's going to be exciting. It's going to be exciting. I'm looking forward. Pardon me. I'm looking forward to a very exciting playoffs. More importantly, Kansas City, hopefully they can trump their playoff woes around their organization. We'll see how things play out. But this particular game, Mahomes was slinging it. They were running the ball. Defensively, they were getting stops here and there. The Raiders pretty much were lost the entire game. Not sure where to go with the ball. Enjoyed myself. Andy Reid, get this man a hot dog, because he earned the number 1 seed. Now we'll see if Kansas City won't Andy Reid themselves out of the postseason. But good win for Kansas City. Next, the Cardinals taking on the Seahawks. Very exciting game. Back and forth. Ultimately, it ended with the 8,700-year-old man, Sebastian Janikowski, kicking a game-winning field goal through the uprights and good. I told you guys, Seattle playing at home, they're very good. More importantly, these guys won themselves some consecutive games, and they closed out the year very, very well. They're going into the playoffs with a head of steam into Jerry World to take on them boys. So we're going to see how things play out. I believe it's tomorrow the game is. Maybe it's Sunday. Whatever the deal is. It's going to be an exciting game down there in Jerry World. More importantly, this Seattle team, they can run the ball with pretty much anybody, man. I don't know what the deal was. After week 5, these running backs started, putting in that work. They done punched into the office. I think they got maybe about, in total, maybe almost 2,000 yards rushing or something like that. I don't know what the deal is. It's ridiculous. These guys running the football. You had a quiet 1,000-yard year for Chris Carson. Then you got Russell Wilson, who's running for yards himself. Rashad Penny, he's running for some yards himself. They got another running back who's over there, but I'm forgetting his name at the current time. So these guys, they can run the football. Plus, you can't sleep on Russ, because Russ can sling it with anybody. All right, so this is a dangerous team right there. I see why they call them Dangerous, because, they dangerous. All right, you see what I did there? Ooh, that's some bars. I might as well just write that down. I throw myself into the damn Wu-Tang, but nonetheless, we ain't talking about that right now. Good win for the Seattle Seahawks. For the Arizona Cardinals, rebuilding still. I hope this isn't the last ride for Fitz. I hope he comes back once again. They got a lot of different moves that they got to do to try to rebuild, but they got the number 1 pick. They secured that in the draft, and this was very frustrating for me. Their head coach ended up getting fired. I don't understand why. You gave the man 1 year with a rookie quarterback and an abysmal team already coming in. You fire him? What is this? It's like what happened with Hugh Jackson when he was in Oakland. It doesn't make any sense. You can't fire a coach after 1 year when you know you got darn near the worst team in the league. Ridiculous. I'm not a fan of that move. Give somebody some time to figure out what's going on. Hell, you went 0-16 in Cleveland. They ain't fire him. The hell you fired this man for? Makes no sense. I don't understand some organizations. I don't. What does that say about you? Who the next coach who comes in? What expectation can you put for this man? Hey, you got to go out there and double our win total. Well, we only won 3 games. It's already hard enough. You go in there, you win 4 games next year. What, you gonna fire that coach too? What's the deal of that? Give people some opportunity to build a team. Stop firing people so goddamn fast. But nonetheless, moving on, all right? Next, the 49ers taking on the Rams. I'll say this. 49ers looked as if the necrophilia was going to stop. They found a way to turn stuff around. Nick Mullins had a rough first 20 minutes, but he was able to find a way. I'm going to sling it, get 3 touchdowns here. George Kittle became the NFL's all-time record setter for yards for a tight end in one particular season. That was very exciting. I might add, Travis Kelce did that a little bit earlier in the Chiefs game, only to see his now record broken by George Kittle. That was a bright spot for the 49ers, but ultimately their comeback, it wasn't enough, because the Rams, C.J. Anderson, Jared Goff, Brandon Cooks, Josh Reynolds, they pretty much rubbed their nutsack all over San Francisco. All right, or I should say, yeah, they ran it over San Francisco's organization because they played in the Coliseum. But nonetheless, it was a very good game for the Rams. The Rams secured the first round bye and the number 2 seed in the NFC. For the 49ers, there is some, something to be happy about because Jimmy G's coming back next year. You got some pieces that are around him. They just got to get a solid, running back. I do like Matt Breida, but hey, you don't know where things are going to go moving forward. I think I want to get somebody like a Le'Veon Bell or get somebody, dynamic over there defensively. They got to do some moves, but I'm sure John Lynch will be able to figure it out after putting on his Hall of Fame jacket because I do believe this will be the year for him, but we ain't talking about that right now. For the Rams, good win. Defensively, I like the way Aqib Talib ingratiated himself back into the defense, so we'll see how that plays out in the postseason. Very exciting team. I'm just hoping when Todd Gurley returns, they feed that man because Sean McVay, I don't know what the deal was over the last half of the year. It seemed as if he's fallen in love with the pass game, and you already know when you get into the postseason, it's some gritty defense and being able to grind the time out on the clock, on the ground. So I'm hoping we don't see a situation like we saw last playoff game last year with the Rams where Todd Gurley does not get 20 carries. You got to feed that man. He got the dreadlock powers. Next, moving on to the Browns. Broncos taking on the Chargers. Chargers owned this game. You had a McPick 2 from Casey Hayward. 23-9. Vance Joseph ultimately ended up getting fired. I agree with that particular move. I don't think he would have been a good coach for the Denver Broncos moving forward. He's he's more of a coordinator sort of coach. I don't believe he can be a head coach as of right now. Maybe it's a system sort of situation. But for the Chargers closing out the season very well, they were also playing for the potential AFC West title if the Oakland Raiders could have pulled off the upset, which they didn't. Very good game for the Chargers. They're gonna get Melvin Gordon. They're gonna get Hunter Henry. Apparently, he's gonna be able to play as well. So Stephen A. Smith, you might as well start talking about the pregame of Hunter Henry because this time you actually have a valid reason to do so. And Austin Elker find himself in the end zone as well. These guys is getting more healthy. Keenan Allen, he's much more healthy now. This particular game, it didn't feel as if Denver had a chance. They didn't really have much promising drives for the most part. So I don't know what they're gonna do with Case Keenum moving forward. But this season for Denver has been a letdown. You lost Phillip Lindsay. Hopefully next year when he comes back, because he broke his hand. So we'll see how that plays into it. I don't believe it should play a huge role, but taking hits while he carries the ball high, if people tend to hit here, I don't know how he'll respond, so we'll see how that plays out. But good victory for the Chargers. They needed it. Defensively, I was a little bit impressed, but then again, you're going against an injury-riddled team, so we'll see how that all plays out against the Baltimore Ravens this upcoming weekend. But good win for the Chargers. Next, we had the Bears and the Vikings. The Bears made sure the Vikings did not go to the postseason. 24-10. I'll say this, the offense for the Vikings, complete letdown. Now granted, you're going against the Bears front. It's very tough. It's a divisional matchup. Of course, they're probably going to come in and have your number. But for the most part, the Vikings defense did their job. The Bears offense kept failing. Pardon me. The Vikings defense did their job. The Vikings offense kept failing. That's what I meant to say. Because, the Bears, they had short yardage touchdowns, but for the most part throughout the game, it wasn't as if they were killing offensively. That wasn't the case. All right, the Vikings were getting them off the field. There were some, drives here the Bears had, but for the most part, they were off the field. The Vikings offense couldn't formulate a drive at all. At all. You see constant arguments on the sideline. You had Adam Thielen and Kirk Cousins trying to figure out how to run a route and stuff like they need to get an offensive coordinator. If I was them, I'd probably see if I could call up Mike McCarthy. Obviously, he's going to be looking for head coach money, or maybe he's going to look for a head coaching job. But if you can get an actual offensive coordinator who can really rally this team around, then all right. Because Kirk Cousins, we already know he doesn't win the bigger games, but maybe it could be attributed to coaching. Maybe it could be attributed to his play. But whatever the case is, they got to bring in a heavy fire hitter offensively and get somebody who can bring some dynamic energy to their offense, because it's very archaic what's going on in Minnesota right now. It's a very unfortunate season. You have one of the better receiving duos on the year. You got a good running back there. Your offensive line is all right. Your defense is one of the better defenses in the league. This particular year, not so much, but for the most part, one of the better defensive players, the defensive, teams in the league, and you underachieved the entire season. They got to get something going because Mike Zimmer is coaching his ass off. He is. But the offense continues to let him down. They got to get that fixed. For the Bears, clinch the NFC North as they already did. But for this particular game, they could have possibly got the first round bye. Damn camera cut off. But nonetheless, like I was saying, for the Bears, they got the NFC North already clinched up. They were trying to get that number 2 seed. They needed the Rams to lose. Ultimately, the Rams did not. So they're going to be stuck at that number 3 seed, welcoming the defending Super Bowl champions to come in to Soldier Field. So we'll see if Club Dub is open at the conclusion of Wild Card Weekend. Did I say Wild Card? Wild Card Weekend. Where am I from? What is that accent from? Nonetheless, I'm still a little bit concerned about the Bears offense. I want to see if they can throw the ball vertically down the field. I know they can run the ball. I know that can happen. I know they can throw intermediate passes, the screens, or I should say they can show short yardage passes. Intermediate, we'll see how that plays out. But I'm excited for this team, man. This has been a very exciting team. I love the turnaround. I told you guys at the beginning of the season when I did the guest interview with the Bear fans. I'm forgetting the name. It's gonna come back to me. Was it Sports Rage? I don't think that's what the name was. I'm forgetting what the name was. I'm sorry, you guys. If you do recall, I did say the Bears would find themselves in the postseason. So damn, you got it. I told you, Bears fans, you guys have a good team. I've sung your praises for this particular team for a very long time. I'm happy to see it come together, but we'll see how things play out. I will give you my prediction about where I think they stand in the wild card moving forward. But good win for the Bears. Unfortunate for the Vikings, there will be no Minneapolis Miracle this year. You can do one. It'll just be on Madden. Next, we had the Vikings taking on, why am I going back in time? I just talked about that. Ravens taking on the Browns, all right? Broke my soul because I needed the Browns to go and pull off a miracle. I needed the Ravens to foil like they did 3 of the past 5 years. Evidently, that was not the case. C.J. Mosley catching my dreams and tucking it away, making it a nightmare. Baker Mayfield played all right. Outside of the interceptions, he played very well. Jimmy Smith just made some hell of a plays early on. Both back-to-back interceptions that he had, very good plays on his part. Jarvis Landry had a quiet, good game. Let me not even say quiet. It was somewhat loud, but that drop where it hit off the goddamn top of his face mask, I'm going to concuss myself. The ball went flying over his helmet, or I should say off his helmet, incomplete. But before that, there should have been a 99-yard touchdown because the refs missed Lamar Jackson pulling the ball back when he ultimately fumbled. The ball hit the floor. Jabril Peppers picked it up, headed towards the end zone. However, they said, well, it was a touchdown. They go and review. It turns out it's not, recovered by Cleveland. I don't know why these guys blow the whistle so fast. I hate that about the referees now. Even the same thing with what happened in the Cowboys game against the Giants when Saquon went and then he ended up being fumbled. Just let everything play out because you have time. It's not as if you can't review it. Let everything play out. Ultimately, whatever transpires, if there's challenge flags, if it's under 2 minutes and you can go and review it, if it's a scoring play, you'll be able to review it anyway. Don't be so quick on the whistle. Let things transpire and then you can blow the whistle. But it was a missed call for the Browns. In fact, they've had this happen to them all season long. We can all remember the Raiders game, but nonetheless, they played very hard on football this particular game, but it just was not enough. Baker Mayfield had the ball in his hand. The Browns had the final possession, and ultimately they could not get it done because that's what it comes down to. Whatever transpires throughout the game, you can talk about it back and forth, but if you have the ball in your hands with the position to win, you can't look at the end of the game and say, well, we shouldn't have put ourselves in that. No. When you have the ball on offense, that's on you. You've got to score. It's different if it's your defense out there and your defense is letting up. If it's your offense, or hell, even if your defense is out there, it's the same thing. You got your players on the field. You play to win the game. You have to execute. And ultimately, the Browns did not. The Ravens took care of business. I'm a little bit concerned about the Ravens offense, though, because they're extremely one-dimensional. You got those RPOs, you got those the regular option, read option that you got over there. You got the just constant running game. I have no confidence in their pass attack, none whatsoever. And that's where I'm a little bit concerned about Lamar Jackson, because can he really truly pass the ball? I don't expect this man to be a pocket passer, not at all. I'm not telling you to change your game, but if we take away the run game, what can you provide to the offense? That's where I'm a little bit concerned. Outside of that, the Ravens defense stopping everybody. They're stopping everybody. Now they're starting to get the takeaways. You better watch out. You don't want to see this team. However, offensively, if that run game does not sustain, good enough production, and now they have to become a passing team, not necessarily become a passing team, but have to work in those passes, I have no confidence, because we've seen the entire season when you force Lamar to have to pass, outside of those isolated plays, he's not going to put a drive together through the air. So we'll see how things play out moving forward. Good win for the Ravens. They earned this AFC North title this entire year, especially battling through adversity, the switching of quarterbacks. The defense not necessarily finding themselves, but tightening down the offense, ultimately getting it together. Their offensive coordinator doing a masterclass job, shifting the entire offense to fit the strengths of Lamar Jackson. So they earned this round of applause for you guys. The Ravens going into the postseason, taking on the Los Angeles Chargers, who they beat 2 weeks ago on the road. Now they're going to play them at home, so we'll see how things play out. Next, we had the Eagles taking on the Redskins. I'll say this game, Redskins, necrophilia, they had no chance, but then again, you're playing out there with a bunch of JV people, because it was the IR Poppy team over there. Everybody got goddamn hurt. My son, goddamn Adrian Peterson only had four damn carries for 0 yards. It hurt my soul. I was hoping I'd see this man get the ball like 30 times this game. But of course, when you're losing, you don't stand no chance. Nick Foles throwing a touchdown. My chest. He had to lead the game. Who comes in? Nick Sudfeld or Nate Sudfeld, whatever the hell his first name is, went in there, threw himself a touchdown as well. People are like, yo, the Eagles got another backup quarterback. What are they going to do? Quarterback controversy. No, that's not the case. All right, but this team, they rallied around the pieces that they had, found themselves back into the postseason. Congratulations to the Eagles. Now you can be the reigning, defending Super Bowl champions, rather than, no longer being the Super Bowl champions at the turn of the new year. So we'll see how things play out. I'm excited for this upcoming playoff game between the Eagles and the Bears. Like I said, I'm going to break it down a little bit, but this particular game, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I didn't cover it too much in my commentary because I didn't get an opportunity to see too many highlights for this particular game. I watched the whole, I've seen everything. I just couldn't get my hands on it because the NFL is kind of borrowing the highlights. I had to go use Twitter. Twitter wasn't really uploading that much. Then again, I ain't really search as often as I could because, I have stuff going on in my life. But nonetheless, this particular game, the Eagles dominated. Like I said, it was straight necrophilia, man. The Redskins stood no chance. Eagles are a team on a mission. So we'll see how that all translates in Soldier Field, but it was a hell of a win for the Eagles. Nick Foles is expected to play this particular game. Now, what they're going to do regarding this man, protecting him, I hope they can. But this Eagles team, they're very dynamic, especially when, not when Nick Foles is in the game, but he's able to throw the ball vertically down the field. So we'll see if the Bears can hold up with that. But it all starts up front. Their offensive line has to perform if they want to go up against the Bears and play. Or I should say play against the Bears and win. So we'll see how that plays out. But it was a hell of a win for them. For the Redskins, got to stay healthy. Get yourself a new strength and conditioning coach. More importantly, you got to find a way to respawn. If guys get hurt, they'll just come back the next day rather than, no longer playing, all right? So figure out a way to break the human anatomy. Find a way to make players respawn. If they get hurt, a new you just pops up out of nowhere. So if they can figure that out, I think the Redskins will be good. But given that's not, humanly possible, y'all gonna be boarding the L train for some time. Next, we had the Steelers taking on the Bengals. This particular game, the Steelers did not play well. They started extremely slow as they did the entire season. Big Ben threw a number of touchdowns, or I should say he threw 2 touchdowns on the day. One to the Bengals, the other to the Steelers with the pick 6 from Sean Williams going the other way. The Steelers ain't in the fucking playoffs. All right, now, they took care of business. You had the drama of AB. I already covered that. Not really getting into it today. Big Ben, for the most part, they didn't trust the run game. James Conner came back. Did he get the ball as often as I believed he should have? Absolutely not. I think they were probably hoping that the Browns can pull off, the upset so they can really evaluate James Conner moving forward in the postseason game. They didn't get that opportunity. I guess 6'9", you're not even going to get the chance. GIF would work here. Or I can't really use a GIF. There's no voice there. I should say video. But nonetheless, the Bengals, tough season. Marvin Lewis finally ends up being relieved of his duty. They brought in John Laurinaitis. Good luck in your future endeavors. And then he ended up leaving where he had to go. So we'll see what the Bengals do moving forward. I heard some talks about Hugh Jackson. I would not do that. But, tough season for those guys, starting out 4-1, ending the season, 6-10, 7-9. I believe it is 6-10, but whatever the deal was, all right? Very tough season for the Bengals. For the Steelers, complete letdown. you found yourself in a situation where this team could have been 14-2, 13-3, or 12-4 at the least, but they just pissed away games left and right. I believe they don't deserve to be in the postseason after the way that they played this particular season. So with the result, I hope they're humbled. I hope they, take into account what transpired and watch every single postseason game very closely and say, you know what, this game, we could have won. That game, we could have won. This game, probably would have lost. But I want them to really sit there and reevaluate what sort of team that they want to be. So for the Pittsburgh Steelers, you may have won, but consider your name written down to the death note because your hopes of hoisting the Lombardi for the second time absolutely deleted. And finally, the Colts and the Titans. This game was very disappointing because it was Blaine Gabbert and not Marcus Mariota starting for the Titans. Offensively, the Titans could do absolutely nothing. Nothing. I thought they would try to turn to Derrick Henry as often as possible. That was not the case. The Colts have not allowed a 100-yard rusher the entire year. So they did very, very well. Andrew Luck looked very good. And then when he threw the pick six, I was like, wait a minute now. This is the same thing that I've been talking about the entire season with Andrew Luck forcing the ball. Guys are catching it. Sometimes the opposing team, but guys are catching them. But for this particular game, the Titans, they had their chance. Ultimately, they could not generate enough offense to get back into the game. Andrew Luck would bring his team down the field. I like the way that the ground game looked from time to time. I think if they really commit to it, Marlon Mack could keep doing what he was doing on the ground the entire season. Andrew Luck throwing the ball. Eric Ebron find his way into the end zone. You got T.Y. Hilton still quietly had over 1,000 yards on the season. This man, he's eating as well. He'll find his way into the end zone, not as often as you would like, but hey, when he gets there, and he makes his presence felt. The Colts, they deserve to go to the postseason this particular year. They wanted it more than the Tennessee Titans, and their defense is overperforming with the defensive player of the year, in my opinion, being Leonard. Sorry, Derwin James. Sorry, Denzel Ward. But hey, I'd give it to him. Also, sorry, Bradley Chubb as well. I think I'm going with the guy from Indy. They earned that playoff berth. More importantly, I believe this team has the opportunity to go and make their way to the Super Bowl, depending on how things play out. I'll break that down a little bit, but that has been my breakdown of the 2017. Pardon me. Jesus, 2017. We're in a time machine. We're going all the way back to 2018, week 17. Post game, that's how I broke it down. Let me know if you guys were surprised by some of the outcomes or if certain teams missed the playoffs or stuff like that. Just we'll have some conversation in the comment section when I get some time on my hands, of course. But I have been the host, the diligent, vigilant, meticulous, sagacious, conscientious, analytical, methodical individual, the Chiseled Adonis, and also for the Eagles fans, no, you're not on the L train. I may have said it on the commentary, but that's an honest mistake. I just read off of the list on NFL.com. Usually they have highlighted the teams that won, and the ones that's not highlighted is the team that lost. Evidently, both the Redskins and the Eagles weren't highlighted at the time, so I just said the first name that popped up while scrolling. I said Eagles. I thought I said Redskins, but nonetheless, that has been it. I'm going, get me something to drink because I do need some water. I'm rather parched. And then we're going to hit right back for the wild card analysis. So you stay tuned for that.